Welcome to the Big Trouble in Little China 35th anniversary celebration panel with our special guest, Rain, aka Peter Kwong, and Lightning, aka James Pax, and of course, our moderator from Kung Fu Drive-In Podcast, Jeff Vita. We just seem to have lost James for a second, but we'll get him back. But we're gonna let Jeff take the reins, and we're gonna talk with Rain himself, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the what a spectacular, groundbreaking film that Big Trouble in Little China was for its time, and even today, I think it's paved the way for a lot of films that we see today. So, Jeff, go ahead and take it home from here.
Thank you so much, Demetrius. Let me just say that this is a huge honor for me to be able to talk with Rain and Lightning, Peter Kwong, and James Pax. Big Trouble in Little China was a huge movie for me growing up, and it was a huge movie for a lot of kids in that generation, especially if you had any interest in comics and fantasy and martial arts. Big Trouble in Little China was all of those things in one, and it's so great to be able to talk with you guys. Let me start off by first of all, I hope you guys are safe and healthy. And I want to start off by asking how you guys got involved with that film in the first place. I know James is trying to reconnect, but Peter, if you would give me an idea of how you got involved with this crazy and ultimately iconic film.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say hello to everybody out there, the fans. People from different websites have been writing back and forth. So we have a Facebook Big Trouble in Little China group. We have the Wing Kong Exchange. We've got all these different groups out there. And so I want to give a shout out to all those fans and all the people who have loved Big Trouble in Little China over the years. I have heard so many stories. It's unbelievable. Jeff, nice to meet you. And I want to thank Demetrius for pulling this all together and making this happen with you guys. So how I got into this particular event in the first place, give you a little background. I've been an actor, a professional actor, since about 1974. And so I had already established a certain amount of credits, things like that in the business. And then when it was first cast, the leads, when I came aboard, were already taken. We didn't have a chance to work in there at that time. So what happened was that a couple of my friends, martial arts friends, told me that they were having an open call for martial artists, if you will, for Big Trouble in Little China. And I've been to these huge cattle call martial arts things before. I remember many years ago when I first came to LA, I auditioned for the Bruce Lee story, right? So I went there, huge line around the block of Warner Brothers, white, black, heavy, small, male, female, every person was going up for Bruce Lee. So I said, oh, good God, I'm going to do another one of these cattle calls. So I went there, a bag full of weapons, and I threw the weapons down. I said, that's in case I don't get the job. That being said, initially I did martial arts weapons with double hook swords, with broadswords, and with the staff. And they liked me. And John Carpenter stepped in and did the negotiations with my agent at the time and hyped me up and bumped me up to be a character of one of the three storms, Rain. So that's how I got involved.
That's awesome. And hold that point. I don't want to get back to that. But James Pax has joined us again. James, I was just saying that it's such a huge honor to be able to speak to you guys. Big Trouble in Little China is an iconic film for a lot of us growing up in that generation, for martial arts, comics, fantasy fans. So I wanted to ask you, Peter took us through his journey, but how did you get involved with this? And I characterize it as a crazy but ultimately iconic film.
You asking me or asking Peter?
Yeah, I'm asking you, James.
James, that's yours question.
Oh, I'm sorry, because, pardon me. Yeah, because you know why? I'm using the mobile unit and the voice is coming out very weak. Wait, let me put on the headphone here, so I will hear you better, hopefully. 来，帮我把这个。
No worries, no worries.
Right. Peter just talked about 先把这个弄好，这个
You know what? I will talk about I also went through catacomb. Okay, when I got the call from the news agent, I was told to audition and with my weapon, so I had a problem.
James,
Already doing shoot.
James, we lost your audio there for a second. If you could reset for us.
And me and my partner practiced for 2 weeks before we went for the audition, and then during the audition, we did hustle and little spear, and then hand forms, you know, putting together. Can you see me now?
Yeah, James, we can see you fine.
Because right now on the can you hear me?
All right, hold on 1 second, James. I think
Okay.
we're having a little bit of
We
a.
did a non-stop fighting between me and John Carpenter. Right now I'm hooked on both, on the computer and on the mobile. And which one do you think I should use?
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, so we can hear you, and you're sounding better than you sounded a little while ago. I think we missed a lot of the.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Question. Not loud and clear, but we can hear you.
It's breaking up a little bit, James.
Okay. There's an echo. Is there an echo? Because I'm looking at the computer right now.
So there's no echo, but it sounds kind of muffled. Oh, now we just lost him.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Wait, right there. Audio is perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
Now I'm switched over.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
On me. Sorry, fans. You know,
No problem.
we are deep in China here, so the internet is very like on and off, on and off.
Not a problem.
Anyway.
You think we'd be able to get this down with everything?
Now I
two
think
years?
as long as we're locked in, I think we're okay. Okay, let me continue.
Yeah.
So
let's do it again.
surprisingly, right. We prepared 2 weeks with my partner, who is a wushu expert, and I learned it from him because he is from China. So I was just a more of a karate kung fu guy before. I mean karate and taekwondo. So he taught me the wushu, and then I learned it very quickly. And then we prepared for 2 weeks. We went on audition. We brought in a spear and a broadsword. We started fighting with the free hands. Boom! Immediately picked up the broadsword and the spear, and we just keep on fighting nonstop. It's like one take only, nonstop for 10 minutes. And after we finish, John Carpenter stand up, and the rest of the casting director all stand up and say, "This is the best audition I've seen so far in New York." I said, "Thank you very much." Then 2 weeks later, of course, I got an offer. Unfortunately, my partner didn't get an offer. I was very sorry for. And that propels me from New York, because before I was just a little stage actor in New York, although I already got an offer, by the way, to do General Hospital as a series regular. But my agent said, "You take this job instead of General Hospital, although you're going to make, what, $500,000 a year." I said, "Okay, if you say so, I would take the Big Trouble." And that's how I moved to LA. And ever since, I never moved back to New York. And that's how the whole thing began.
Wow.
Now, in terms of my character, influences in like a Mortal Kombat and all of that, honestly, you know, I wasn't really following Mortal Kombat. I didn't even know that there's a character similar, or they got inspired by me, until many years later. As you know, the movie at first, Peter also know, Universal did not believe in this movie. You know, I don't know if you know about this, Peter. And Universal, because on the same week, Ghostbusters was on, and you know, Ghostbusters had 3 superstars. Back then, they were superstars. We only had Kurt Russell and a couple of unknown Asian actors, you know. So they didn't believe in it. So I doubt that they even put $100,000 into the campaign. So we lose out. I think we only did like 10 million or something. And we were hoping that it's going to do 40 million, you know. But I know after the international market did very well, and it became a cult film. Only when it became a cult film, I realized that my character was totally now, a legendary character. And I'm very happy for that, I gotta say. And now, Peter, in case you don't know, we have a Big Trouble in Little China fan club, 60 over 1,000. And I
I know I've been on
mine.
that site many times. Yeah, they also have actually quite a number of sites out there. I checked through Facebook as well as there's a Wing Kong Exchange that's been there for at least 15 years. So it's been quite an adventurous. As a matter of fact, after the Big Trouble in China came out, and due to the lackluster campaign that 20th Century Fox did, I believe that John Carpenter was very disappointed in the film. He was completely disappointed in the studio system. And from that point forward, it's very well documented that he decided not to do any more studio films and go back to the independent films. Like I think the film that came out afterward was the Prince of Darkness with our fellow colleague, what's his name? Help me out here. Dennis Dunn.
Oh, Dennis Dunn. Oh, really?
And Victor Wong was in Prince of Darkness. So from that point forward, John Carpenter did no, studio.
Never went back to the studio anymore.
I was very disappointed.
Well,
but it was a really blessing. It was a really blessing to work in this film because when I dealt with John Carpenter, and just from the sense of what we shared on the cast, because there's a little history here that you should be aware of, is that Big Trouble in China came out right after Year of the Dragon. And Year of the Dragon was so controversial in its the negative representation in terms of stereotypes. And we were trying to make some breakthroughs because even back then, and it goes into the history of American film, is that there's a lot of covert racism, and then there's also a lot of unconscious bias that goes on in film and in society in general. And that followed the politics of Year of the Dragon. So when we came on board with Big Trouble in China, the first thing they were doing, the community was attacking the film before it got even off the block. So as a result, many members of our cast got together with the crew, and the John Carpenter got together with the community, and we talked it out, and we made peace in the Asian Pacific community before it even came out.
Really?
You guys brought up so many things there that we need to unpack. Whoever has speakers. Yeah, great. So I want to get into a lot of that stuff because the Asian stereotype, that's a huge obstacle that we're still trying to get over today. How are you dealing with it back in 1986? Like you said, you guys were Asian actors in a Hollywood system that wasn't exactly the most tolerant all the time, right? And not necessarily embracing representation across the board. So to have guys on screen as essentially some of the first Asian superheroes that I saw on a Hollywood screen as a kid was a big deal. I think it's why it had such an impact on me as a kid. So how did you guys deal with that, knowing that you were going to be kind of caricatures of mythological characters in Chinese culture? Peter, you want to take that first?
Sure, I'll do that. My background in terms of getting into show business in the first place is very unique, because I didn't get in for the art's sake, and I didn't get it because of I wanted to be a stunt person or martial artist. I got into it because of my parents having to deal with the racism in this country. Just trying to, I go from the old school, right? Watching Superman as I grew up, right? That superhero says truth, justice, and the American way. And that's my concept. I'm a born American, born in the US of A in Sacramento, California, fell off the turnip truck and came here to LA to make it big in American show business, and show business in general, not that I had to be a Chinese actor, but just an actor, period. That being said, I knew that the medium is the message. And as a result, we need to, in order for change to happen, we need to see this face as a face of America, not an Asian face, but a face, period. And no matter what we go through, our emotions are human. Our issues are human, not a particular race. And so that being said, that's how I entered into the politics, if you will. I've served on the National Board of Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. I was the governor for 2 terms at the Motion Picture Academy, and I am also now currently a executive committee member of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the Oscars, the Emmys, as well as the SAG Awards. So that concept of understanding the what I call the film and television industrial complex is really critical in affecting change and presenting ourselves as Asians in America.
I agree, and I want to congratulate what Peter had done. I think he is in the right position to answer this question, but I gotta say, there has been a tremendous change for these 30 years, 35 years. Back then, Peter and I and many, Asian actors are struggling to get a part. And it kind of made us become like competitors. Every time there's a part between 20 to 35, Peter and I are always in the same room. I say, oh, hi, Peter. And then Peter will say, oh, you are here again. I say, yeah, well, we're all in it. It's that kind of thing. But as you know, I left Hollywood. Because of that reason, that the Asians faces, it don't matter if you're Japanese or Koreans or Chinese, are never presented correctly in the Hollywood movie industry. In the early 90s, I left. I said, enough of this. I'm not going to play second and third banana to, Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris and all of that. I said, I want to star in my own film. And just to tell you the truth, even when I had a good agent back then was try it, I said, why can't I be casted at just anybody? Cross casting, which they call it, means I will go up for the white or black parts, and then let the director decide whether I'm right for the part or not. Some characters you could do that. And they were like, I said, fine, that's fine. I'm leaving. Boom, I left. After I did the, just before I did the another TV series, which was kind of successful, Nasty Boys. I was waiting in Hong Kong. And then I got called to go back. And then after that, again, that's another thing. We had 5 boys and 1 Dennis Franz playing the captain, if you saw it. It's wonderful. It's like Miami Vice. Instead of 2, we have 5. Prince, all colors. And yet, me being the Asians, I only get 1 episode out of the 13 episode, means I'm the lead in 1 episode. And everybody else was getting 2 or 3. So I complained to Dick Wolf in a nice way. I said, why, being Asian, and as you know, I think I have the biggest draw right now because of Big Trouble, and my international draw is much larger, which is true. I sold the whole Asian territory. Without me, that series would not be sold in Asia. And he couldn't really answer. He said, James, we're going to go on to the 2nd season. Would you stay? I said, no, I'm not going to stay, because I told you right from the start, I'm a very straightforward person. Since you're not taking attention on me, I'm leaving. I'm going back to Asia, because I was already doing well. I was doing my own movies, But after I left, which has been 20 years in China and in Asia, I realized that Hollywood has changed. Peter, I'm sure you are probably the instigator of it. Now, all Asians gets very good part, especially the Koreans and the Chinese actors are really up there. Directors, producers, even writers, I looked them up, although I'm not there. The scene has changed. And I have to congratulate whoever does it. Peter, you're probably one of them. And, Asian directors, Koreans and Chinese are all being nominated and winning, right? I mean, Claudia, you know what I'm talking about. And Asian actors too. I think this is the right time, really a fair time for the Asians to compete in the Hollywood scene. And I'm actually making myself back next year. I'm going to make my own movies, basically. That's my take on this whole thing. But
that's
Peter,
fantastic.
You did the right thing. We need more people like you. Really, we We need more people like you. You are a hero to the Asian movie community to bring it to this level, because I wanted to do it myself, but I never had the power, and I don't even know how to do it. And you are in this. It's perfect. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Just want to let you know, in the process of being aware, I think as actors, we have to deal with a lot of issues, whether it's just show business alone. And now that all of our auditions are virtual, not only do we have to learn how to act, but we have to know how to edit and direct and deal lighting. You know, I've got my ring light here. I've got all my lights going crisscross and things like that. So all that is just sometimes a little bit overwhelming. That being said, the sense of balance is critically important. When I first came to Los Angeles, I had a sense of how does this business work? You know, 90% business, 10% show, right? So that's the kind of formula in terms of to seek out success in our insane business. And one of the things that we had to deal with is the sense of being aware of governance. How do these organizations work, like Screen Actors Guild, the TV Academy, the Motion Picture Academy? Why are those institutions critical in that whole dynamic of the business of the studios, of the media, of the award system, all working hand in hand, so one pumps the other, making hundreds of millions of dollars so that each will feed the other. So I remember going back and saying, oh, well, how do you get the attention? How do you become a star? There's old school way is do the product, do the acting, do the jobs, and then get on the red carpet and become famous that way, get the right PR. The other way is via Kim Kardashian, you know, get the scandal fix, right? Go on the red carpet, wear as little as possible and make a scene, and then get your infamy, and then get the reality show and work it that way. So there are many approaches to, you know, so just be aware that this is the kind of things that we as actors have to think of on multi-levels of the awareness of our media face and what we present. That being said, James, you had mentioned we were being a member of the Motion Picture Academy when we had that year of Oscar So White with Chris Rock being the MC, and there was an outrage that there were not enough Blacks. They brought in those two jokes about Asians on that scene, and we, 25 of us, as members of the Academy, marched up to the CEO's office and demanded an apology, and that started the A2020 initiative, which changed the face of the Academy. Before, it was limited to about 6,000 members. And in order to get into the Academy, someone had to die, almost literally, because they want to only bring in about 100 people at a time. But now, after that initiative, for like 6-7 years up till now, they started bringing in thousands of people each year. And so our numbers grew. The change of people of color increased over 50% of what they used to be, and same thing with women. So again, making these kind of changes has been slow. It's been, as you say, not necessarily successful in show business, but at the same time, we see the change that has happened.
You know, it's interesting. I didn't know that all of this went on behind the scenes afterwards. I commend you both on furthering that fight and keeping that going for all Asian actors and for representation in general. To me, you were just the coolest guys on screen for Big Trouble in Little China. So it's amazing that you guys were part of all of that. And like you said, it's getting better. 35 years later, we have Shang-Chi in the Marvel universe. So that is a direct result of the things that you guys did in Big Trouble in Little China and beyond. So applause to you both for all of that. That being said, the film itself was a commercial failure, and like you said, it broke John Carpenter for a little while. He gave up on the whole Hollywood system. For you guys though, when you read that script, did you think about maybe not doing that film because it's so off the wall and so crazy, or was it a case where you knew that this was an opportunity to represent for Asian Americans on screen? Where did you strike that balance for yourselves? James, let me have you take that first.
I going back to Peter mentioned about Year of the Dragon. I was actually in the Year of the Dragon. Actually, it was a good film, although it might not be the right representation of the Asian community, but it's just another commercial film, just like many films in Hong Kong. It's all about mafia, and it's a story based on real events. And I play one of the gang. I'm the one that killed Mickey Rourke's wife. That's how I got started in the film business. But going to Big Trouble, having have done that, which I have many stories to tell, but that's not what we're here today. But let's go right into Big Trouble. When I read the script, I said, John is a genius. A white man who probably never even been to China can write a script or come up with a story like this. It's just amazing. Whoever actually wrote it, I actually just reread the script. It's genius for some white man who never even been to China, just did some research on the internet and can come up with a story. It's a fantasy story. You can almost say, oh, that was a Marvel, styled, but it is not. It doesn't really look that Marvel. Okay, that kind of a thing. Because the good guys were the weak guys. They're not the superheroes. And the bad guys, like the Storms, are the superheroes in the end, right? So it is not really Marvel. It has its own identity. That's what's so special. So when I read it, I said, I agree with my agent. I said, okay, I'll go and do this one. And to tell the truth, which I said it many times in the previous interviews, I'm a very ambitious guy, and I believed in my acting. And I asked my agent, why am I not getting Dennis Dunn's part? I said. They said, well, we don't know, but maybe, he needed a smaller guy and more of a comedian guy. You are a big, strong guy, the kung fu, maybe he thinks that you're right for the part of lightning, But I always thought I should have gotten that part. That is the truth. But I'm not complaining because what it turned out, my part became like a Marvel hero. But
Absolutely.
Definitely, the script was amazing. It went through. It's almost like one of some of these previous adventure story. But it's a Chinese theme adventure story. That's what makes it special. Peter.
We were very, very lucky to have John Carpenter there. I remember many times on the set, he would gather us all together. We had a couple of meetings when all the cast and crew got together, and he said, he wanted our personal input. So there were several instances that with April Ferry, who was the costume designer, my particular outfit had bamboo slats in it. And I couldn't do side kicks. I couldn't do, crescent kicks, things like that, because the costume would dig into my ribs. And it was so bloody heavy because it was all wood, even though it was bamboo. So what they did was shorten the slats so that I had a room to do a side kick, as well as they would cut the slats instead of round dowel like bamboo slats, they would cut it in half so it would be just the visual outfit. And so it was 50% lighter. And I was able to wear that around. There was a choice at the beginning. Growing up as a child, I always liked those Chinese old-fashioned movies, the one with the long hair and everything like that. And so I begged John Carpenter, please let me have this fantasy of wearing the long hair. And, I think James and Carter were wiser. They've been through all that stuff. They're like, we don't want to deal with it. So I wound up an hour and a half at least in hair and makeup before they were anchoring these things into my hair so they wouldn't tug open, things like that. It was a real pain in the head, if you will. So those are the ideas that they kept on coming, and he would listen to everybody in the cast, and he had a certain concept of what that script was going to be. But at the same time, like, for example, there were the women that guarded the Wing Kong guards, that there were 4 of them. They all dealt with wooden weapons. And so that was a very unique signature with those particular guards there. And we had certain magical powers. The the little gang, you know, at the very beginning, they had their certain attitude with this, Jeff Yamato with his Bali song, things like that, right? And so everybody had their special in weapons. There were over 100 martial artists on that film, and some amazing martial artists too. I mean,
it's very true. It's like a temple of American martial artists, all Asians. And that's what makes it so special. I think you will not find another movie today. I don't think even Shang-Chi has as many martial artists on one film.
Yeah.
And Big Trouble 2, it's probably really gathers the biggest Asian martial artists in one film. And that was 35 years ago. It was amazing. You're very right. April Ferry, I believe, I don't know if she's still around.
yes,
Amazing. She is. Oh, okay.
I think
well,
so.
I have to get in touch with her. I want her to do my next movie. I will tell you more later. And my costume, I love it. I love it. It looks so extraordinary and custom made. But the only problem I have, I don't know if Peter had this problem, was my big, giant, 25-pound straw hat. It's bigger.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I had that chin strap to lock it in, and then, you know, everybody else put it underneath there. I know it blocked my face. I go, but I got to hold it on because I was trying to jump through the air and trying to do some of these own stunts myself. So it was pretty crazy. And I remember one time on the set during the shooting, it was the studio lot 25 at 20th Century. I mean, the studio 25 was very cold, and so I remember I had to do this fight scene that I had to do with Dennis Dunn. And short time to warm up, I would get cold, and I'd go to lunch and then things like that. So I came back cold, ready to do a front kick and then a back kick like this, and then on the back kick, as I'm doing up my supporting leg, I heard this huge pop, and I fell to the ground. I was going, what the heck happened? I grabbed around my knee and I grabbed around my butt. I felt my muscle there, and in between there was nothing. I snapped my hamstring right in half. So, and then we're going, all right, that was nice. Let's shoot it again. And so I had to like painfully work that through, and that was the difficult. So that took me out for a little bit, but we kind of shot me up with cortisone, and we went on with the show, you know. So
wow.
things happen. little known secrets there.
Oh man, that's incredible.
Okay.
No, let me touch on that too, because like you said, tons of martial artists in the movie, and martial arts fantasy story. When you guys were going out for the role, knowing that it was a martial arts movie, at any point did you go, well, we're gonna do another martial arts character? It's just going to further that stereotype. Did that come into play when you decided to take the role? Because again, you guys wanted to be actors, just actors in Hollywood with a variety of roles. So did you hem and haw about that kind of thing, or was there any conflict in your heads about just being an actor or taking the martial arts role?
Let me start with, again, going back to have to make a choice between General Hospital, which was already a big time soap opera, you know, and I was supposed to be the first Asian character in that series, and they were ready to pay me good money, you know. So I had to really twiddle my thumb. I always thought of myself as Marlon Brando. He was my idol in acting. Kung Fu, no one else till today, still Bruce. So when it comes to acting, it's got to be Marlon Brando. So of course, I got the part of Lightning, which I know it's got no lines on it, no bloody line, and that really bothers me. But the agent said, "Well, you know what? It's John Carpenter, and it's 20th Century Fox, right? You want to be a daytime soap opera star, or you want to be somebody? Maybe someday you will make it into, you know, into the feature movie, which that's what drove me into this part. And really, I accepted it, and I'd really try to do the best I can without speaking, just with my action. And that's what make it, I made it my own part, basically. Peter.
The concept at that time, okay, you go think back then. We were not pioneers. Some people have called us pioneers, but we're not the pioneers. The pioneers are Setsu Hayakawa, Anna May Wong, people in the silent eras that they had to deal with stereotypes, right? Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't them, then it'd be white people playing Asians, right? Like Charlie Chan and Fu Manchu, you know, Christopher Plummer, all these wonderful actors. Even Mickey Rooney was playing, you know, in Breakfast with Tiffany. So we have to deal that mindset. Back then, it wasn't. I consider my acting more of a shotgun technique. Because I studied at ACT, American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. I was a Shakespearean actor. But that was not going to happen in show business because of the tremendous mindset that they had of saying, well, you're Oriental, blah, blah, blah. That was back in the day. Things have changed a lot. Things are going to continue to change. And I see that progress being much, but back then, all we could deal with was, I wasn't thinking in terms of, do we get an Asian part or not? And how do we deal with it? We got the part. And so you're a villain. So you're a bad guy. So make it more human. Make that villain cry a little bit when they kill their victims, you know, show a little pathos and empathy and emotional, and then bring on the human qualities to that character, and that you will change the concept of the stereotype. If you give it dimension, give it color. I think that's the main issue. That was the problem with Year of the Dragon. They wanted some multi-dimensional, not only just the gangs, but in like Godfather, they give it family, they give it attitudes. Everybody had multi-layers of dimensions and colors to their character. So that's what we have to do and have been doing for such a long time, not only fighting to break that stereotype, to break out that even Bruce Lee, as James had mentioned, couldn't even get a role that was meant for him in Kung Fu because of that concept that Asians can't play themselves because they're not going to draw in a lie that has been perpetuated in our show business arena for many, many years and continue to do so.
Very well.
It's a testament to all of you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a testament to all of you that were in that film because, as you say, you all infused character and personality into all the characters across the board. So it's not a surprise that the Asian community embraced your depictions of their characters because they weren't typical stereotype Asian characters. There was more to it there, and again, from everybody that was in that film, it wasn't. There was no instance where the characters, even though they were villains, they were portrayed as bigger than life and cooler than cool, and you carried it well. And there's nothing there where you could look at it and go, well, that's a negative depiction of the race, because it was just there was a real character there, and you guys made that happen.
Well, as I mentioned before, initially when we first started out, the Asian community was not behind us. It was through the efforts of several key people in our staff. One of them was Jim Lau, who was associate producer, as well as Dan Kwan. He was the media person, and they got March Fong Yu, who was the Secretary of State, to come onto the set. They got people community to come together with the members of the crew, and they met with John Carpenter, and we had this little peace pipe powwow, if you will, of coming together and meeting our mutual needs and means. And so a lot of our cast members, they were elevated to associate producers and being an integral part of the cast and crew and engineering of this Big Trouble in Little China. So it was a collaborative effort, if you will.
That 35 years out of all of the work that you've done, the huge bodies of work that you guys have amassed, do you still get recognized as Lightning and Rain?
Yes, definitely. That's what they think about out of all the parts that I've done.
I have people come in and say, I'm the hugest fan of Big Trouble in China. And another person online on one of the websites said, Big Trouble in China saved my life. And I was blown away with that and that whole concept. So it's just really amazing how they would say, and you held our family together, because our family would come together every month and watch that religiously on a certain day and or a certain anniversary. It was just like the, during Christmas, you'd see A Wonderful Life. Everybody would watch that, or during Easter, everybody watched Ben-Hur or whatever. Everybody watched Big Trouble in China because it brought people together. The interesting thing with Big Trouble in China, it had so many more colors to it that you wouldn't imagine. Imagine, if you will, the concept of hero versus sidekick, right? Dennis Dunn was the hero. I slipped my mind. It was the other person. Kurt Russell was the sidekick in essence. But that's why they had to add on that little addition at the beginning where, don't pick on Jack Burton because you had to hype him up as the hero, because during the movie he wasn't the hero. He did those funny things, and that's what brought a lot of color to it. The humor in it was outrageous. You have lines in Big Trouble in China that will never leave. What James Hong going, indeed, and things like this. Lines that you pull up all over the place. We didn't have many lines, James. I only had one line. You are nowhere. But what the heck? All our talent is like, this is all we got. No, we're much more in-depth.
Make the best of what we have.
Exactly.
One line or long line don't matter.
That's right. So let me ask then, because for a lot of actors that get recognized for that one little role, does it bother you guys that these are characters that you get recognized for a lot more, or have you embraced that and recognized the impact that those characters have had throughout the years?
I have embraced it only after that I realized the movie became cult, and I have so many fans sending me messages saying similar to what Peter had received. And even some of these fans said, every weekend we just turn it on and all the family share and watching it. And really, Bruce Lee, I would have to say, Bruce broke martial art movie into Hollywood. He's the man. Because I was in that area when he died in Hong Kong. And I don't know if I have the right to say it, but I do want to express that Big Trouble breaks the new era of American martial art movies into the big scene. From then, 35 years ago, till now, the struggle with Shang-Chi, I congratulate it. It's a wonderful movie. It started with Big Trouble. So all of us should celebrate, and all of us should be proud of it, working on it.
See,
from actors to the crew members.
Bruce Lee, Big Trouble in Little China, on the surface was just a, martial arts comedy adventure thing, but it taught much more life lessons. It taught the value of friendship. It taught about relationships and how to treat people, right? And so these are the concepts that is subtly placed in there. I remember one fan said, these taught me life lessons of how to be a man, right? It's like, okay, it's not just winner take all, or, it's just might makes right. It's, sometimes you have that working as human beings, you have that magical quality about you that even it's that magic potion, the elixir that we take, or knowing all the different hells in China that we have to deal with. We bring on the human quality of friendship, bonding between what people do with best friends, how to treat people. Obviously the lines that Jack Burton came up with wasn't working with Kim Cattrall, characters. So he, in his own way, with his lipstick on his mouth, shows the humanity, the humor, that we can all be heroes without a stereotype of one type of hero. You can be a real person and be a hero too.
That's very true.
Amazing, amazing. We've been talking for 45 minutes. We're running out of time. I would talk with you for hours more. But before we leave, let me find out from you, and Peter, you can start. What are you doing nowadays? What is coming up next from you, so that fans of your work from Big Trouble in Little China can continue to follow your adventures?
Well, what I did recently in the world of making change, because that's what I try to do. It's my destiny, because I guess my parents' legacy allowed me to say that we should all be presented and represented and given the opportunity to be real people. Okay, that's number one. So as a result, I recently ran for vice president of the LA local of Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, as a delegate. And so they had a choice, right? There's one slate or the other slate. They spent tens of thousands of dollars promoting their candidacy. I ran as an independent, and I made a big dent in it. I wasn't elected, but that's okay, because I was able to pour that energy back into my acting and been coming up with, one callback after another. And, we're getting success on that. So energy is never wasted in that regard. As a result, currently, I am doing my representation as an executive committee member of the Motion Picture Academy of the Actors Branch. We're currently voting for the new Oscars that are coming up in 2022. So I'm one of the people who are going out for, as a matter of tonight, right after this, I'm rushing out to go to a FYC event in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills, to see Kenneth Branagh and in his new movie Belfast. And yesterday, I just got through seeing another wonderful film with Tick Tick Boom. That's the Lin-Manuel Miranda movie. And so things like that, these are the things that always being involved to make effective change in our medium. So that's what we try and do.
Terrific.
Incredible. James, how about you, sir?
I've taken a different route, as my heart has always been in the art of movie making. I always tell my friend, that I'm not a hero, and I'm no superstar. I'm just a humble movie maker. Till today, I still consider myself everywhere I go. As you can see, my fan contributed the poster on the right side here, and that is from the belt buckle of Lightning. And the one right behind me, the big tiger head, is the next movie. I'm doing a preview here. Next movie I'll be directing. I wrote it. It's called Shaolin Warriors 7. So it is, give you a little bit of a heads up. Oh, okay, let's watch it, and then we'll talk.
Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done.
Awesome. Wow. Very cool. Congratulations, James. Much success to you.
Thank you, Peter. And you have
That looks amazing.
You definitely have to come to our premiere, and hopefully you give us the vote that we need, and many other votes, of course. Yeah, we know that. I'm sorry. We know that. I think her name is, the lady Chinese director that just directed the superhero movie.
Oh, right, Eternals.
Claudia,
right.
Claudia.
Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao.
There's already an Asian American that won the Academy. I hope somebody else will be, whether it's me or not, it don't matter. But the point I'm trying to make is that this movie is in tribute, because I always say in tribute. You know why? Because I'm influenced by so many wonderful actors and directors. Kurosawa, the Japanese #1 director, was always my inspirator. This movie is in tribute to his Seven Samurai. That's why it's called Shaolin Warriors 7.
Cool.
But I'm taking that concept, that structure, into Shaolin Temple based on the real events that happened in 18-something, and it expanded into a different realm. I instilled the Marvel style superhero, and yet my superhero does not fly, does not use electrical power. They do everything with human feet. They do not fly. They do flips, and they use traditional weapon, and they are going to defend world justice against any crimes, and so on and so forth, with their hands and traditional Chinese weapons. That's what the movie is about. It's one of a kind, and I hope to get the support from the Hollywood community, one of the studios, to back me up, because we do have super stars from Hollywood and from China and throughout Asia to be in it. But a lot of them are current super action stars, and I hope they will support it. On top of that, this is a feature. I hope to make it just like, a series. Shang-Chi, that kind of thing, a series. But on the TV front, I'm looking to do a takeoff from Shaolin Warriors. So there will be a TV series. On top of that, I have something special strictly for TV, and I'm already talking to a UK network, and hopefully we'll land something very quick, which is, again, one of a kind, has never been done before. But everybody that had learned martial art or loved martial art movies, they will have to celebrate on this brand new program on TV, which is any martial arts goes, and everybody will be in the same platform. I can't tell too much, of course, but those are the 3 projects I'm working on right now.
That's incredible. So as a child of the 70s who grew up on Saturday afternoon Kung Fu theater, that kind of stuff is right up my alley. So
there you go.
I wish you the very best of luck with that. And Peter, continue to do the amazing things that you're doing, affecting change. And I wish you both the best of luck. Stay healthy and continue to do what you're doing. Thank you for bringing Lightning and Rain to the screen, and for paving the way for movies like Shang-Chi. And guys, continue to do the work that you do. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk. It has been a genuine honor to speak with you guys.
I want to thank Demetrius, my hero, and of course to Joel. And great to see you again, Peter.
You too.
Really, Peter, we have to meet up and have coffee. We have dinner, really.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
But at last, I wanted to say I have my own fan club. Okay, it's growing in the last 3 months. And look at this. Maybe, Peter, you want to have one? I'll design one for you. This is my lightning.
I can't see. Oh, good. I can see it now. Yeah. I can see it now. That's
lightning.
cute.
Yeah, it's a lightning enamel pin, and it's illuminated means at night it's going to shine. I designed it, but the picture was actually, the original sketches was done by one of the fan, and then I designed the whole thing, and it's manufactured in China. It's selling like crazy.
Good for you.
My fan club, you can find on my Facebook. You'll find my fan club, And then, of course, if you want to have this, you can order it from my memorabilia website. And Peter, I think you should have your own. If you want, I can design one for you. All right?
Sounds great.
I hope
Okay.
you sell it and you get a royalty from it. How's that?
I want to take a moment to thank Demetrius, and nice meeting you, Jeff, too. And again, James, awesome. You know, after what, 35 years, it's about time we get back together and make some magic, Hollywood magic here. All right. So God bless you all, and keep. Oh, and even though this is a Chang Sing thing, you know, you want to have that signature. Goodbye, right? Get that thumb in. Keep that thumb in. I keep on telling the fans, keep the thumb in, right? Otherwise, this means loser. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I want to thank my moderator, Jeff Vita of the Kung Fu Drive-In Theater Podcast. Of course, Rain, Peter Kwan. Catch Rain tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're doing the Big Trouble in Little China watch party, and Rain's going to give us some behind-the-scenes commentary. Thank you, James.
All those secrets that you always want to know about Big Trouble in China, collected over the years. I'll let it all out.
That's right. And both James and Peter are available until November 20th for personal messages, okay, and private chats. All right. So check the website and be sure to check out the Big Trouble in Little China 3D VR experience right here. You get to see a whole lot of what was going on in the film. It is an amazing, amazing experience. Peter and James talk about their personal message and private chat opportunities. You can easily go to James's store by clicking over here. You can take a Big Trouble in Little China photo, virtual photo there as well. And then you come over here to the second floor and look at all the wonderful art that the fans around the world have created for this incredible, groundbreaking film. So, you know, just go to the website, urbanactionshowcase.com, and click under the UAS virtual experiences, and you guys will be able to check that out. Thank you, guys. Everybody stay safe, and we'll see you in another 5 years.
Hopefully not so far away. Hopefully it'll be next year.
Exactly.
When the Shaolin Warriors 7 comes out, then we'll do another one.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.